And where is it right now? Because you're going to go, when is it going to be released?
It opens, it premieres Tuesday in New York.
And you're working on it last minute?
In Hollywood, one word can shift a performance from mediocre to magnificent.
You're gonna hurt me, aren't you?
I'm not gonna hurt you at all. There's no hurting here, Danielle.
Few understand this better than Martin Scorsese, a filmmaker whose pursuit of cinematic perfection has defined American cinema for over 5 decades. From the gritty streets of Taxi Driver to the opulent excess of The Wolf of Wall Street, Scorsese has crafted stories that dig beneath the surface of humanity, exposing our darkest impulses and desperate yearnings.
A lot of the stories I was putting in my movies had elements of truth in them. A lot of people down there were still alive.
Yet behind his visionary direction lies a temperament as volatile as the characters who populate his films. While Scorsese has fostered legendary collaborations with actors like Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, not every performer has been welcomed into his inner circle. Some have faced his legendary wrath, becoming targets of his exacting standards and uncompromising vision. These actors, despite their acclaim elsewhere, found themselves at odds with a director who demands nothing short of transformation from those before his camera. Their conflicts reveal not just professional disagreements, but fundamental clashes of artistic philosophy. As Scorsese himself once remarked, cinema is a matter of what's in the frame and what's out. For these 6 performers, what remained outside the frame was Scorsese's approval, a coveted endorsement they would never receive, creating tensions that reverberated throughout Hollywood and sometimes altered career trajectories forever. James Caan. James Caan's explosive talent made him a natural fit for Scorsese's world of volatile masculinity, yet their collaboration on an unrealized project in the mid-1970s became the stuff of Hollywood legend. Fresh off his triumph as Sonny Corleone in The Godfather, Caan brought a simmering intensity that initially captivated Scorsese during pre-production meetings for Italian American, a character study set in New York's Little Italy. There was something dangerous about Jimmy, Scorsese later recalled in a rare interview with Film Comment. He had this authenticity I wanted, but he also had ideas about the character that completely contradicted my vision. The tension escalated during a notorious rehearsal where Caan reportedly rewrote dialogue on the spot, prompting Scorsese to erupt in what crew members described as a volcanic tirade. He wanted improvisation, but only his kind of improvisation, Caan told The New Yorker years later. There's creative freedom, and then there's whatever the hell that was. The project collapsed within weeks, with Scorsese publicly citing creative differences, while privately telling associates that Caan was impossible. Though both men went on to illustrious careers, they maintained a cool distance for decades, their brief creative collision representing a fascinating what-if in cinema history. Mark Wahlberg. The clash between Scorsese and Mark Wahlberg during the making of The Departed represents one of modern cinema's most fascinating creative disconnects. Cast as the volatile staff sergeant Dignam, Wahlberg brought his signature Boston intensity to the role, but Scorsese reportedly found the actor's approach increasingly problematic. Mark had this athleticism, this street credibility I wanted for Dignam, Scorsese noted in a Directors Guild interview, but he fought me on the character's interior life. On set, tensions boiled over during the filming of Dignam's profanity-laden office scenes. Crew members recounted Scorsese repeatedly cutting takes, demanding a subtlety that Wahlberg struggled to deliver beneath the character's aggressive exterior. He kept saying less, less, when everything about this guy screamed more, an anonymous production assistant told Vanity Fair. The irony of their conflict became apparent when Wahlberg received the film's only acting Oscar nomination, a recognition that reportedly surprised Scorsese himself. Though professional in public appearances, their behind-the-scenes friction was so pronounced that subsequent casting discussions for Shutter Island and The Wolf of Wall Street deliberately excluded Wahlberg from consideration. As Scorsese later remarked to a film student at NYU, sometimes an actor gives you exactly what audiences want, rather than what the character needs. Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts' brief intersection with Martin Scorsese's cinematic world during pre-production for The Age of Innocence revealed a fundamental incompatibility between America's sweetheart and America's most uncompromising director. Initially considered for the role of Countess Ellen Olenska that eventually went to Michelle Pfeiffer, Roberts found herself caught in Scorsese's meticulous historical preparation process. She had this luminous quality that could have worked beautifully, Scorsese reluctantly admitted to Film Quarterly years later. But there was a contemporary sensibility I couldn't train out of her. The breaking point came during a costume fitting when Roberts reportedly questioned the physical restrictions of period corsetry and Scorsese's insistence on authentic discomfort to inform performance. He wanted me to literally not breathe properly to understand the character. Roberts later alluded in a Hollywood Reporter roundtable without naming Scorsese directly. Method directing, I guess you'd call it. After a particularly tense meeting about the character's cultural background, Roberts withdrew from consideration. The incident became whispered about in industry circles as an example of Scorsese's uncompromising historical vision clashing with the star's more intuitive approach. In period pieces, I need actors who can disappear into another time, Scorsese told the New York Times, not ones who make other times feel like our own. Ryan O'Neal. Ryan O'Neal's reputation for remarkable on-screen charm made his catastrophic audition for Raging Bull all the more shocking to those few witnesses present in Scorsese's New York office in 1978. Before Robert De Niro was firmly attached to play Jake LaMotta, O'Neal, riding high from his success in Barry Lyndon and Paper Moon, was briefly considered for the boxing anti-hero. It was perhaps the most uncomfortable hour I've spent in casting, Scorsese confided to his longtime editor Thelma Schoonmaker, who later recounted the story for a Film Heritage retrospective. He looked at the material like it was something alien. The meeting reportedly deteriorated when O'Neal suggested softening LaMotta's domestic violence scenes to make the character more sympathetic, a fundamental misreading of Scorsese's uncompromising vision. "If you're worried about likability, you're in the wrong room," Scorsese allegedly responded before abruptly ending the meeting. Though never explicitly confirming the incident, O'Neal made oblique references to it in his memoir, writing, "Some directors want raw ugliness. I've always believed audiences need a way in, a reason to care." The encounter became emblematic of the gulf between Hollywood's conventional leading men and Scorsese's ruthless character studies. "There's a difference between movie stars and what I need," Scorsese later told American Film. "I need actors willing to be despised." Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder's collision with Martin Scorsese's exacting directorial approach during 1993's The Age of Innocence remains one of the most carefully concealed yet revealing clashes in the filmmaker's career. Cast as Mae Welland, the seemingly innocent society bride whose steely determination forms the story's emotional counterweight, Ryder found herself trapped between Scorsese's vision and her own instincts about the character. Winona had this luminescent quality that worked beautifully on camera, Scorsese acknowledged in a film comment retrospective. But she fought me on Mae's internal calculation, the character's awareness of what she was doing to Newland and the Countess. The tension escalated during filming of the pivotal engagement scene at the van der Luyden's mansion, where Scorsese reportedly halted production for nearly 6 hours, demanding a specific quality of innocent manipulation from Ryder that she struggled to embody. Production designer Dante Ferretti later recalled, "Martin would whisper to her for 20-30 minutes between takes. She would emerge red-eyed, only to hear again after the camera rolled." Behind the scenes, crew members observed increasingly strained interactions between director and actress, particularly during the film's third act when Mae reveals her pregnancy.
I mean, it basically started with filmmakers just trying to get their movies made.
These two films.
He wanted something so specific, this perfect synthesis of Victorian propriety masking ruthless emotional warfare, revealed script supervisor Martha Pinson in a rare interview with Sight and Sound. Winona wanted to humanize Mae to find her vulnerability. Martin saw that as undermining the character's power. Though Ryder earned an Oscar nomination for her performance, their creative tension was so pronounced that she was noticeably absent from the film's commentary track and most promotional activities. Years later, when asked about potential future collaborations, Scorsese responded with uncharacteristic brevity. "Winona is brilliant at certain qualities. Mae Welland required something else entirely." The aftermath of their creative clash became apparent when Ryder, despite her continued prominence in Hollywood, was never again considered for a Scorsese project. As Martin confided to longtime collaborator Sandy Powell, sometimes the process of reaching a great performance is so difficult that you can't imagine repeating it, even when the result works on screen. Jim Carrey's near miss with Martin Scorsese's cinematic universe represents one of Hollywood's most fascinating creative incompatibilities. A collision between improvisational genius and meticulous auteur vision that never made it past pre-production. In 1999, riding the dual success of The Truman Show and Man on the Moon, Carrey was briefly attached to Scorsese's long-gestating Howard Hughes biopic that would eventually become The Aviator. The project, then conceived as a darker, psychological study of Hughes' decline, initially intrigued Scorsese as a showcase for Carrey's untapped dramatic potential. Jim has this manic energy that could capture Hughes's brilliant eccentricity, Scorsese told Premiere magazine at the time, but it needed to be channeled very specifically. The breaking point came during an intensive character workshop at Scorsese's New York office. According to production designer Dante Ferretti, who was present to discuss Hughes's evolving environments, Carrey arrived with extensive improvisational ideas about physically transforming across Hughes's lifetime. Martin became increasingly silent as Jim demonstrated these remarkable physical transformations. Ferretti later told Film Architecture Quarterly, "The room's temperature seemed to drop with each minute." The fundamental disconnect emerged when discussing script adherence. Scorsese's method demanded precise dialogue delivery, while Carrey sought freedom to discover moments organically. "There are two kinds of brilliance in acting," Scorsese reportedly told producing partner Barbara DeFina afterward. "Jim's is undeniable, but it's not compatible with my process." The project stalled shortly after, with Carrey moving on to Bruce Almighty, while Scorsese reconceived the Hughes story with Leonardo DiCaprio. Years later, when asked about actors he regretted not working with, Scorsese offered a revealing observation to a film studies masterclass at NYU. "Some actors are such singular artists that they create within their own universe. My films require actors who can fully inhabit mine." The unrealized collaboration stands as a testament to the delicate chemistry between director and performer. How even extraordinary talent can falter when creative methodologies fundamentally diverge. As Carrey himself philosophically noted in a 2015 interview, "Sometimes the greatest gift is a door that remains closed." Few relationships in cinema are as consequential as those between directors and actors, but in Scorsese's realm, these connections become fierce artistic battlegrounds. The six performers who clashed with America's most revered filmmaker share a distinction: extraordinary talent that somehow failed to align with his uncompromising vision. Their conflicts illuminate the essence of Scorsese's philosophy, where technical precision must marry emotional abandonment. In an industry increasingly driven by algorithms, these creative tensions remind us what authentic, artistic vision demands: not compromise, but conviction bordering on obsession. If you've enjoyed this exploration of cinematic conflict, hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the fascinating world of film.